Stewart, and my mom and dad call the cops. I'm coming into town, and I'm living in this truck all over the place. And the truck ended up being 100. It's 100% legal. And the very next day, I actually refinanced. It was a $21,000 truck. I ended up taking $7,000 that never actually existed, and refinancing the rest of the $14,000 with Riverside National Bank. So they were the new owners that sent the $14,000 check to Orlando to the Ford dealership. And let me tell you something. I could have really gotten 1,000 times more trouble than I really did. So here I am with this brand new truck. It's totally in my name, totally legal. Then again, it didn't have any. It wasn't real insurance, so it was just a strange. The entire thing is beyond whack and strange. There were times where I would take the. I was homeless, living in just friends' houses here and there, and just taking advantage of people. And I was just a horrible person. I was just not right in the head. And I was working at a Halloween store in an Olive Garden, and then I quit. I don't know what I was doing. And so then October 23rd, 2012, 2006 came, and I had been talking ongoing around this time to a. Who is this? This is a Army guy or Air Force guy, recruiter, and I had passed the ABAB, and the very next day, on October 24th, I was going to go to Miami to go into the Air Force to enlist. All joking aside, dead serious, I had passed it, and I had been working at Applebee's here and there off and on, but I had started selling drugs here and there, too, to the employees, so they banned me from Applebee's, but I had left a message with one of the old managers there, if it was okay if I could come and see my sister before I left for Miami the next day on October 23rd, and I had just come from Publix, where I was with Christina, where she had worked at the time, and flashed the back of my jacket, which I had 2 plastic BBs. Of course, they looked like real guns. I have no idea why I did this. I halfway remember it. I was beyond. There were times where I would be in a drive-thru at a bank and I would fall asleep out of nowhere, with my foot on the brake. Like I wasn't sleeping. I was doing drugs. I had all these medications. I was not sane. I was not me. And I ended up getting a call where I was talking to the old manager, and she said, "No, you're still not allowed here." And then out of nowhere, after I left Publix, I get a message from Susanna, who said, the old manager, I'm not going to say her name, she said that you can come and say goodbye to me or blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, that's strange, but okay, fine. I go to Applebee's in Stewart. I'm sitting at the bar in my Army fatigues. Whatever, so weird. And out of nowhere, I remember seeing a red dot, or, my sister said hello. And she said, the usual app sampler with sub queso dip. That's what I used to get all the time. And I'm like, yeah. And then she walked away from the bar after she got me my Diet Coke and went in the back. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then out of nowhere on my bottom, I hear something in my left ear. And I was like, is your name Joe Galbica? Is your last name Galbica? And I'm thinking in my head, well, maybe I can just run. I didn't know who it was, and I remember looking down at remember thinking in my head, no, my name is Daniel Galbica, because they asked, is your name Joseph Galbica? Yeah, that's what they asked. And I said, I was thinking about, running, just in case if it was a cop. I looked down on my right thigh, there's a red dot with a taser. And I look down a little bit further past me, and there's 6 cops to the right. I look to my left, and there's about 2 or 3 cops to my left. At that point, I was just, and a few of them had their guns out, because I was doing crazy, stupid behavior, and I just semi-legally bought this truck. Then again, not really, over lies and stuff. It was very strange. And then on top of that, with the guns at the Publix with a girl, and I said, yeah, my name is Joe Galbica. They arrested me. I was a Baker Act that same day. They arrested me, and it was my sister that actually kind of pretty much saved my life, because I don't know where I would have been if I would have been shot, and if I would have been killed. I don't know what I was doing. So, she's bawling her eyes out in the back, but she pretty much saved my life, Susanna. She really did. I know it was as hard as who knows if I would have made it to Miami. I mean, or if I would have died on some kind of overdose or whatnot. But she did. My parents that morning had just put in a Baker Act form to the court, and I wasn't arrested. I was actually Baker Acted. Now they took me from New Horizons, or they took me from Applebee's in Stewart to New Horizons, where I stayed there And man, was that another insane. And then out of nowhere, I became religious again. And, man, that was October 23rd to November 7th. They had a St. Lucie County jail hold on me. And when I went from, and it was actually, some of the charges that came out were aggravated stalking to Christina. And then there were bad checks, just a lot of stuff. And I actually ended up going to St. Lucie County Jail for 6 days, and then they transferred me to Martin County Jail from November 9th till July 3rd. It was tough. It was very long, 240 something days in jail. And this is where I really, they put me on back on medication. They stabilized me, and then it was very tough. I was in I think it was Dunklin Memorial Ward. It was a good church programs here and there, and jail was not fun. It was not fun at all, and I really got a chance to slow my life down, to gain some weight. I was very skinny at the time, and really kind of evaluate, try to come to grasp who I was at the time and where I'm going in my life and what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I felt like I was alive again, because to an extent, not in jail, but this is, all of a sudden you're doing all this crazy stuff and then you just get stopped. You don't have a free will anymore. You get put in jail where everything gets taken away. You have no rights. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. Of course, the food's horrible, but then, it's just not fun whatsoever. It definitely taught me the lesson I needed to learn. And then I ended up, my parents, my entire family came around me after that, because, they pretty much said jail's going to save his life, or pretty much Susanna, or my parents Baker acted me. And then I ended up coming, they ended up paying, I think, that Christmas in 2006, they said, let's just save money and get Joe a lawyer and don't get anyone presents. And I'll never be able to thank them enough for that, because this lawyer ended up getting, the charge dropped by guilty of insanity, because I was off my medications and whatnot, and I had no idea what I was doing or why I was doing it. And I had to stay in jail for 8 months so I don't have a felony on my record, and it is what it is. Of course, no one wants to stay in jail, but I don't have a felony on my record, which is, God, it's amazing that I don't after all of that. And after being released, I'll never forget that day, the gratitude, and just beyond amazing. They end up court ordering me to a Plantaseed Ministry program in Fort Pierce, where it was a halfway house or whatever, rehabilitation place where I can stay on my meds and get a job. I ended up landing a job right away at the Fort Pierce Applebee's, where I just changed my life, man. I tell you what, I was a server, and then I learned how to bartend. And let me start over real quick. I've been 100% free from any hardcore drug since October 23rd, 2006, and it is 2013 July. No, what are we in? September. 2013 September. So October 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This year coming up will be 7 years completely sober with any hardcore drugs. So I've definitely changed my life. They put me in Plantaseed Ministries. It was a halfway house program, and I started completely from the bottom. You had to work your way up, get a job, and I remember just working hard. I learned the fry, mid, broil side. I learned how to bartend. They didn't even have money to train me. I learned this even off the clock sometimes, and working 40, 60-hour weeks, and just really putting in the time to change my life and save money. I saved money, and I ended up finally, I got court ordered July 3rd after I got released from jail in 2007, and I stayed there for 2008 October, and I moved back to Stewart, got a job at the Stewart Applebee's, and I was really changing my life here and there, and got structured again. I wanted to go into management, and ended up not going into management, or here and there I was key hourly or whatnot, and, excuse me. Oh, his car got stolen. I ended up saving a good amount of money. I was paying rent too at the time. Saving a good amount of money in Fort Pierce. Good guy named Al Pagozzi was a really good pastor. It was a good program. It really helped a lot of people, a lot of church, a lot of structure. It was really good. It can teach you a lot, and a lot of NA and AA meetings, and you have to deal with this mind concept is, as a man thinketh in his head, so is he. I mean, we're all born with this void, and this void was created by a creator intentionally. I mean, he doesn't want you to, he wants to fill the void he created for you, but it's all about one thing, this free will that he's given us. That's the biggest thing, is free will. He wants people eventually to come back and spend eternity with him that he's created for one reason, free will. Free will gives us the choice for one reason, to eventually go and spend eternity. If you were God, if I was God, would I create robots to just love me? No. The only way you can create something that will eventually love you for you is faith, believing something you can't see or prove, but you can definitely feel it. I can prove God in my own head and try to express him to someone, but that's the Holy Spirit's job, is to intercede and get him that full conviction. There's nothing like conviction. Conviction of our faith is proof of our faith, but you can't sell conviction at the gas station. You can't sell conviction anywhere. So I ended up moving back to Stewart and working my way up in Stewart Applebee's in 2008, and I think by 2009, I had met a girl named Steph, and we were dating and whatnot, and I think 4 months later, she got pregnant. So that was not the road I really wanted to go on, changing my life and whatnot, but I tell you what, I got a 2-year-old right now. His name is Caleb Anthony Gabeka, and he's the biggest joy of my life. I mean, besides my salvation, he's just amazing. I tried to make me and Steph work at the time, and I got in 2010, January 2010, I got us an apartment. Still live in this apartment. Got us an apartment, and was working real hard, and then I eventually went to a different country club besides Applebee's, and real good, no meds. I ended up going off the meds, weaning it slowly off after 2 years in 2008, and I was good, and I didn't need them anymore. Still haven't been on any type of meds, I think, since 2008, and it's 2013, so a good 5 years and whatnot. And now I'm in January 2010 is where the story is now. We try to make, me and Steph try to make us work as much as we can, and there's no ill will towards Steph or whatnot, but I think I was semi-delusional at the time. I was only 20, but Caleb's 2, so 27, 26, 25, 24 and a half or whatnot, maybe 25, and I was trying to force something only because we had a kid, and by growing up in my parents' divorce, I kind of realized that you can't force something just because you're having a child, you know what I mean? You still got to be there for the child 100% responsibility-wise, and nurturing and time and love and care and affection, but you can't force something with the mother if there's nothing there. It was very wrong. It was wrong to me to have sex before marriage, and especially without protection and whatnot. But I was definitely going to own up to my responsibilities as a child. We were actually broken up at the time when she actually told me she was pregnant, and I took her to the emergency room, got her on prenatals, and said I'm going to try to make us work and this and that, and I was trying to force that, but that wasn't smart at the time, and we tried to make it. I mean, eventually it didn't work. We had Caleb. We tried again. And then it just got too much where we were angry at each other and arguing. So her parents really want to help. Her parents were financially set, and they still are now. And I had Steph. I'm like, this is not going to work out. I need you. You got to take full advantage of what your parents are offering you. They're asking you to move back at their house, and they'll help you with Caleb. You won't have any bills, and they'll help me with Caleb too, because I mean that's my responsibility as well. But he needs a good structure right now and whatnot, and this way you don't have any bills. You can go to school and finish school and have this way Caleb can be really proud of his mom and whatnot. This way it's not we're not eking through life trying to raise an amazing kid and forcing a relationship with each other when we know it's not Caleb's best interest for us to just keep arguing and adding on each other. So she went 2000 or August, I think Caleb wasn't even a month. He was born July 30th, 2011, and it was August 15th when she moved back with him. And then we tried to force it again, I think, at the end of August. Caleb was a year and a half old. No, he was only 4 months old, and she was trying to force a relationship with me and her, and she used our son as a crutch, and there were 3 different times where I didn't know where Kayla was for a 4-day period.